Hello, everybody. This is Russell, your host of WTF, and that is What the FixedOPS podcast to all of you. And I'm joined today by...
Hello, everyone. I'm Charity, and I'm excited to introduce our guest today. We have Eddie Campbell with Eddie in Service. Eddie, tell us, what is Eddie in Service?
Yes, what is Eddie in Service, Eddie?
What is that?
Well, how many hours do we have?
Come on, baby. Bring it on.
Okay. The baseline of it is I want to make it comfortable for customers to come into the service drive, especially Gen Z. A while back, I'd say about a year or two ago, I noticed that I was only seeing one Gen Zer every 90 days bring their own car in. Their parents are still bringing their cars in. They're 26 years old. So I needed to figure out a way to communicate with Gen Z. So I got on social media for the first time. I've had LinkedIn for probably 15 years, but I'd never had a Facebook or a TikTok or anything. So I thought I better start learning how to use this stuff if I'm going to talk to them. And I've learned so much in the last year. And now I'm on Facebook and I'm able to communicate with them better and understand them. I was really hard on them for several years. Even I've got a 21-year-old daughter. I was hard on her being a Gen Zer, being old school. We were just always rub some dirt in it, pull your boots up and let's get to work. And they don't think the way we did. So I started trying to figure out how I can communicate with them for several reasons. One, they need to take care of their car. Secondly, we're running out of technicians in my department, or in all service departments, actually. I think the new stat is about 40% of Gen Zers are now coming into the dealership world. They're kind of going to sales, and I need them to come to service, but a lot of them don't even want to get a driver's license yet. So if they're not going to get a driver's license, they're sure not going to want to be a technician. And I've got to figure out a way to bridge that gap and let them know that the dealership, the service department, is a friendly place for them to come.
Great. So for all of you out there, I've known Eddie for a long time from my previous company, actually R&D Interactive. He is the FixedOPS director at Force Lane CDJR, as well as building this brand new brand of Eddie in Service, which I highly recommend. Go check it out. It's eddieinservice.com. Did I get that right, Eddie?
You did.
Okay.
Yep.
But listen, he's really everywhere promoting, but he is extremely passionate about service and what it takes to affect the challenges we all have today with the shortage of technicians, as well as repeat, referral, and retention. And he's very passionate about what he does. So we're going to get into a little bit of that. What makes customers uncomfortable in the service department, Eddie? How do you combat that?
I think it's a lot of different things. So many new things are coming to the market right now. I mean, there's new restaurants, and you go to Dallas and you see things popping up. Even dealerships are starting to rebuild because they're from the 70s and 80s, and you just got to continuously remodel. In my particular service department, we're going all in on tires right now. Only 3 out of 10 service customers even know that dealerships sell tires. So I'm plastering the entire waiting room and showroom with tires. So as soon as they walk in, they see and smell tires. I told my parts manager, the only complaint I want from customers is that it smells like rubber in there. And I'm okay with that. We've got TVs everywhere. It's extremely clean. I invite you to come by and take a look at it next time you're around. And we can sell tires cheaper than anybody else at my particular store. So we make sure the customer gets the rebate. We get price matching back from Chrysler, and nobody can beat our prices. And I hired the #1 tire guy in America. His name's Wes Volker, and he's on fire for tires. And so am I. We just call each other constantly thinking of tire ideas. And so far it's taken off. Our graph the other day, we were looking at it and it went like that on tire sales. So tires are the #1 defector of service departments and dealerships, really. So they come in, we do all their other service, their 30K. They don't know we sell tires because we don't tell them. Then they drive to another aftermarket brand and they sell them some tires. And while they're there, they say, by the way, we can do everything your dealership did. And so they never come back. They don't buy a car from you. You just never see them again. So we're going to sell them tires and keep them in our department.
So wait a minute, Eddie. That's not what the public thinks. We have
Yeah.
trained them over the last 25, 30 years that, wait a minute, we can't really compete at the dealership. So we've created these huge up to 16 independents that surround our franchise dealers for all these different services, because they figured out that the number one defection point is tires, and there's a couple more, but I agree with you. That's the primary defection point. And of course, that's the single largest purchase they're going to make probably during a warranty period. So at least the numbers I have, and if they're different and you have something else or you want to elaborate on it, please do. But with these, when they go to Valvoline, Goodyear, Pep Boys, Firestone, wherever they're going, Discount Tire, etc., while they're there, they're saying just what you did a minute ago. Well, we could do this, and that. And then we wonder why 7 out of 10 people by the end of the warranty period have gone elsewhere. What are you doing, Eddie, in service to promote tires? How do you educate the consumer?
Well, for me, and we're successful at it already, but every customer that comes in gets a free alignment check. We've got a machine that checks the alignment as it comes across. Every single car gets a tire quote, whether it has 3,000 miles on it or 300,000 miles. And it's really funny because you'll hand that tire quote to a customer with 3,000 miles and they'll say, hey, it's brand new. What do I need this for? Well, in 33,000 miles, you're going to need some new tires. This way, you know that we've got them, you know how much they cost, so you can budget for them. And they know off the top of their head. So then they come back in at 10,000 for their next oil change. We give them another tire quote. Should be close to the same. And we just keep going until they're sitting in their driveway on a Sunday and they tell their wife, hey, I've got to get some tires this week. And they say, where are you going to go? Oh, Forest Lane has them. They're $900 and they can put them in on, in 2 hours. And they already know we got them in stock. They know we're in the tire business and there's no surprises. They know when they're going to need them. And they've already gotten 4 or 5 quotes from me. So they're not calling anybody else. They're coming to see me.
So you already know at 3,000 miles, they're not buying a set of tires, but you're planting a seed for down the road and educating them and making them aware that regarding any type of service, and at least the numbers I have, when they buy a set of tires, 67% of those people, post-pandemic anyway, will continue to service with you and buy another new or pre-owned vehicle. Whereas if they don't and they buy those tires somewhere else, you're probably going to lose them. Are there other defection points as well? Or other than that, is there a secondary?
Yeah, I mean, one of the big things for me is customer satisfaction, CSI. And for 20 years, I think CSI has gone up almost 2 points. All of us have spent billions of dollars trying to get customer satisfaction to go up. And it doesn't move. And it hasn't moved after all that we've spent with this. I think that 15% of the people are upset for several reasons. One is we really did a bad job, or they just don't like going to the car dealership, or they got to take off work, or sometimes it's just a negative experience. They got to spend some money they don't have. And so those 15% are the ones that go out there, like you were saying at the beginning of the podcast. They're the ones that see the episodes on Seinfeld of negative dealership experiences, The Simpsons, TV, movies. You see it everywhere. And that's what the people focus on. I'm focusing on the bright side of the dealership. We have so many great stories to tell our customers that come in. And my customers that have been following me for years. I mean, some of them are my best friends now, and they came in yelling and screaming. And I even bought a house from one of them. So I think just constantly taking care of them. And the thing about great service is you can't just do it once, because it's got to be better next time. And I love giving great service and getting good customer satisfaction.
Great answer. I love that. Charity?
Yeah. Well, Gen Z is an interesting topic. And, what is it that makes Gen Z uncomfortable in the service department? And how can we overcome that, you think?
Well, that's easy. I think us older guys, we didn't have PlayStation and all those things to keep us busy. There was no social media. So usually when you were younger and you were my age, I grew up rebuilding bicycles. We'd find one in an alley and take it and rebuild it. So it gave us that, hey, I can fix this. Then you turn 16 and you got a car and you have to fix it yourself, because you're just getting a car and you're just learning. And you could go buy a part for $44. Now a headlight's $800 in some cases. So they don't have the same kind of upbringing. That there's nothing except Fast and Furious and maybe some racing video games that might get them interested in coming to be a technician at a service department. And while I'm reaching out to them, and the things that I'm hearing, or those negative people can spread so fast on social media. And I had a young lady in my department about a year ago telling me how much she loved visiting, and said she always comes in there and she starts telling me she's about to get married. I go, oh, great. What kind of car does your fiance have? She goes, don't worry, you'll never see him. And I was like, well, why is that? And she said, well, his dad told him when he graduated college, if you don't ever remember anything that I ever said, never take your car to a dealership for service. And it hurt my heart. I told her all the things he could have told him. Don't steal, don't rob, don't lie,
right.
Don't go to the dealership. So broke my heart. So I begged her, let him come in here, let him see. So some people haven't even been to the dealership. They've just heard these stories. But I'd say 9 out of 10 dealerships are really, really good.
Do you think social media is a way to tackle that perception that people have about the dealership?
It is. There are a bunch of good stories that we have. I wish they were all on video. We had I think he was about 35, and he was mentally challenged, and he's there with his mom, who's 65 or 70, and he saw a Dodge hat sitting up there, and he just grabbed it and put it on. She's over there arguing with him. Take that off. Take that off. I was like, no, please let him have that. Please, it's on me. Let him have that. She came back a week later to tell me he won't take it off. He wears it in the bathtub. He won't, we all heard the story, and we're just crying. It's such a sweet story, but there's lots of stories like that happen at dealerships every day. So I wish we had more of those positive stories getting out.
Yeah. So, Eddie, how long have you been in the service arena? And after you tell us how long you've been in service, how did you get started? What is the backstory that led you to where you're at today, Eddie?
I love the car business. I tell people you should get in it all the time. It's been so good to me. So this is an emotional story for me, but when I was 16, I got a girl pregnant in high school, and I had to drop out of school. So to this day, I'm a high school dropout. I went and got my GED and went to college for a year. But it was such a hard life back then. I was changing oil in the place, and I had heard a lot of stories about general managers and owners that started out washing cars, and now they're millionaires, working on or owning dealerships. So I thought if I could just do that, and some of their secrets was work ethic. And they always said they had to outwork everybody. So I thought, I'm going to outwork everybody that's on the side of me, wherever I'm at. And I just slowly moved up and listened. And I hired, throughout that time, usually I try to surround myself with people that are smarter than me, which isn't hard to do, but there's some good ones out there. And I've been successful every time. And it's been such a blessing from God that I know He's guiding me. And with different vendors, and I know you said I don't have to talk about you and don't want to, or want me to, but I
go ahead. I love it. No.
Your product has really, really helped me for about 7 years now. And while Eddie in Service is growing and developing, I started looking at websites every night. I looked at 10 of them for almost 6 months. Then I started looking at 5, and then I started looking at 3 every night, because 9 out of 10 of them suck.
Yep.
For lack of a better word.
No, that's a great word.
They still look like they're 20 years old. I'm blown away at these websites that look like they're from 1999. And when I show people your coupons and your service specials, it's just mind changing. I don't know why anybody's not doing it. So I just want to give you a little bit of plug there, because it's very true.
Thank you.
And that's how we met. I'm passionate about those coupons because they do work.
And how long have you been in this service business?
I've been in the service business, I say 50 years, because I was 8 years old when I started building go-karts, and my dad, he was a drag racer and things like that. But I was a technician, and I had a friend talk me into becoming a service advisor at a Lincoln store. So I went from wearing a uniform shirt that was all raggedy to a tie in one day, and didn't have very much money. So my wife went to Walmart, bought me a giraffe tie, and I loved it from the second I traded in my tools for a pen. It's just been great.
I see your stuff all the time, promoting stuff you're doing. I believe that in the end, everything that we're doing revolves around one thing, and that's the customer's experience, the guest. It's all about the guest. That's what it boils down to. And I believe that the way you manage, or the way that I see you managing, your people enjoy coming to work. They enjoy working with you and working for you. And if you have happy people, then you're probably going to have happy customers too, happy guests. It's amazing what that transference is. It seems like it's really so simple, yet there's so many just horror stories out there. But I think, from transparency is huge. From the time, like you meant, they drive across the threshold, video MPIs, the way, pricing is disclosed for particular services to make them feel comfortable about that. You probably have a lot of women coming into service. You have Gen Zs coming into service. So but you know what? Here's one thing that I hope that all of us can agree on. The most important thing to people, in my experience, is that they matter, they count, they make a difference, and that they're important. And if you make them feel like that, you can write your own history, I believe. Do you agree with that?
100%. I tell my employees, when our customers go home at night, they're going to be sitting around the dinner table and they're going to say, how was it when you took the car in today? They're going to have a story to tell you about you. It's either going to be a good story or a bad story. So we try to make it a great story. We buy birthday cakes for customers. We always have our antennas up and our radar on. So anybody that mentions, I've got all kinds of cards stacked in my office. We've already all kind of pre-signed them, and then we'll go ahead and I'll write a message in there. But if they say they're having a baby, or we can tell they're having a baby, or they say they're having a birthday, they say, hey, I need my car back by 5 because I'm going out to eat tonight. Oh, really? Why? Well, it's our anniversary. They'll get an anniversary card. We surprise them with all kinds of different things. And a few times when we do mess up, I'll get a stuffed animal and seat belted in the passenger side. So when they get in there, they can look over and go, oh, yeah, well, they're human. And we mess up. I tell people that out of 100 cars a day, I mess up on 3 of them every day, and we make them all right. And we let the customer know we do that. So just sometimes when you're dealing with a car with 30,000 pieces, something can go wrong.
Absolutely. Man, that's really powerful. Charity?
Yeah. Well, you've been in the business 50 years, and I'm wondering, Eddie, do you think someone going into the automotive industry today, do you think they'll have the same opportunity as you 50 years down the road?
I do. Earlier we were talking about tires, and yesterday my guy Wes was training everybody on tires, and he was telling them, with tires, they stay at your dealership and you get a chance to look at the brakes and the shocks and the things around the wheel. And then I said, even if it's all electric cars tomorrow, it's the same thing. Tires, brakes, and shocks, they're all still right there. So I think with the future, they're still going to have something to ride on, and I think that's tires. So, and there's an 8,000-pound battery in it, so the tires are going to have to develop and get better. But I think it's a really good job. I think any advisor, any Gen Z can jump in there and within a year or two be making $100,000 if they'll just follow the proper training. And it's been the same really for 20 years. And it's, a good write up, a smile, a handshake, eye contact, writing down the primary item of the car, and then do what you say you're going to do. And just under promise and over deliver works every time.
Do they need a degree?
Absolutely not. No, with Gen Z, I've noticed that college, what's the word I'm looking for? Kids aren't finishing college like they used to. There's a lot of dropout college, and you don't have to do that. If you come to a dealership, especially nowadays, it's hard to find a technician, and it's getting just as hard to find advisors. So we welcome them. I hire them constantly, and they're smarter than we are. Now when I was an advisor, we first of all, we didn't have computers, but when computers came out, we might have 2 windows open. Now these advisors, they've got like 8 windows open. They have a lot on their plate. And I think this new generation can handle that a lot better than the older ones.
I was just about to ask you if, you see work ethic differences between generations that you work with in the dealership.
There are definitely differences between the older generation and Gen Z. And it took me a while to figure out they just don't think like we want. They don't feel like we want. Back in those days, we worked 7 to 7. It was all about making that dollar so we could buy a house or whatever. And nowadays, they really want time off and they want a good place to work. And so we've done that. And none of our advisors or almost any of our employees work more than 5 days. Used to it was 6 days a week. There was no time off. And now they're staggered schedules. So some might work 7 to 5, some might work 9 to 6, and every other Saturday or every third Saturday. So I know time is extremely important to this new generation, and I'm trying to grant that.
Let me guess, at this very moment, another vendor is walking up to your lot with something shiny to sell. Before you head back and hide in your office, let me take a minute to tell you about my friend Dawn Pelham and my friends over at Global Dealer Solutions. They exist to help you find solutions to problems, some of which you might not even know you have. Best of all, they can manage as many products and services as needed for you, helping cut down on multiple vendor visits and distractions. And if you need anything, you have one number to call or text for the response all dealers like to hear. On it, GDS understands that successful dealerships require more than a set it and forget it mentality. And they'll be with you every step of the way, from setup, implementation, training, and support. And if necessary, they'll even cancel non-performing products for you. No pushback, no arguments, just a solution here executing course corrections as needed. Check out gdsdealers.com to learn the difference and set up a time to meet. Let's see if they're a good fit for you. Yeah. You know, we've heard about that before. We've heard about different tactics for retention. Tell us a few others that you use.
Yes.
For employees or customers? Because I have both.
Well, maybe tell us. So I'll start with employees and then finish off on customers.
Yes.
Retaining employees, and I'm very fortunate that when I do leave a dealership and go to start another one, a lot of them want to follow me because I've treated them so well. And that's what it's all about. I mean, if they're in the hospital, I go visit them. If they're sick, I text them throughout the day to make sure, see how they're feeling. You just got to take care of them, ask them how their weekend was. And that's really what started Eddie in Service. Was one of my Gen Zers came in on a Monday. I said, "Hey, how was your weekend?" He said, "Well, me and my mom, went shopping for apartments for me this weekend. And we found a lot we liked, but it requires a $58,000 a year job in order for me to get an apartment," which means he's not getting one. I don't know a 20-year-old kid that makes $58,000 a year yet. So that's what woke me up to, how can I get Gen Z to come here? They've got a lot against them. Social media hurt them. COVID hurt them. The economy's keeping them down. So I want to open my door and just invite as many of them as I can and take care of them. And they'll take care of you back. And then they're super smart. I tell them all the time, in 15 years, I'm going to be working for them. I want to be their shuttle driver. So I'm really nice to them to make sure that happens.
You listen. Okay, so how about the customers?
Customer retention is the same way. Just yesterday, I was training the advisors. And I said, all this other stuff is important. The alignment, the tires, the MPI that we're sending them. But you have to act like a human and talk to them. So if you see a Dallas Cowboy sticker on their car or a San Fran sign, ask them about their Cowboys here or their team. Here in Texas, everybody talks about the weather because it's either 110 or 1 degree. So there's always something to talk about. But you got to have that personal relationship with that customer, even if it's for 5 minutes. So I tell them to look for signs, whether it's Better Homes and Garden magazine in the back seat, they like plants and things like that, and just look for those signs that can help you start a relationship. Because even though I know kiosks are easy and you go in and you push some buttons and things happen, I still think 2024, people still want to talk to a human.
That's right. That's right. Listen, I wholeheartedly agree with you. It's so important. And I'm even in the business now on the outside looking in, but I have some really poor experiences in my own stories with getting my car serviced. But here's one thing that I think is crucial. When somebody drives in, okay, just say, "Welcome. My name is Russell Hill. Welcome or welcome back. Which one are you?" Or whatever the case may be. But it's so easy when you're looking at the car for those bumper stickers, things in the back seat. If there's a baby seat in there, I mean, there's so many things because if you point those out right away or get those people want to talk, they want to, and it makes it so easy. But if you're not smiling, you don't introduce yourself, you don't shake their hand, you don't say welcome. It's like, okay, what are you here for? Whatever the case. And then whatever they're there for, appointment or not appointment, it's important to communicate with them. So I recently was having I had an appointment for an alignment and an oil change. Okay. An appointment. I got there 30 minutes early. Okay. And there was already 2 people in front of me. Okay. By the time they got to me, the guy didn't introduce himself, didn't know who he was. I told him, he said, "You have an appointment?" I said, "Yes, I had an appointment." And they couldn't accommodate me because one of the people in front of me was also getting an alignment who did not have an appointment. They just showed up early. And then it was an hour and a half, almost 2 hours later. They didn't even communicate with me during that time. It's so, that's all I would like. Like, what's going on? Can you just tell me what's going on? They couldn't, I mean, it's just, that's a bad experience. And that's not the future.
Yeah. And you and I are in the business and it hurts. Imagine somebody that says, "I'm going to give this dealership a chance. They just bought a new car. They go in for the first time and they experience those bad experiences like you're talking about." So you've got to almost make friends with them because they do want to talk to people. And once you do that and you walk them to the waiting room, and I take people into my shop all day, even if they don't want to go. I say, "No,
Wow.
come on out. Let's go." We go get under their car. They always appreciate it. And it just means a lot to them because there's no secrets. They're with you looking under the hood. And it just really, really helps with customer service.
That's not a regular practice. That makes a huge difference.
Yes.
It really, really does because you're involved in them. Do you, what about scheduled appointments versus just drop-ins? Do you do the best you can to accommodate anybody? I mean, and to meet them where they're at, or how does that work? How do you handle that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I do. I love appointments. It's like telling the future. Whenever I go into a new dealership, I sit all the advisors down. I say, "Who here knows what kind of day you're going to have tomorrow?" And some guy goes, "I do, because I'm positive." I'm like, "Okay, what if you had 20 appointments tomorrow and you knew all you were going to have is oil changes, or you knew you're going to have a 60K or some alignments coming in or an engine job?" I think it helps you. I talk about making my own luck all the time, and appointments make you have good luck. And it lets you know if you're going to have bad luck, what can I do to fix it? Okay, tomorrow I'm an advisor. I've got 9 oil changes coming in. I either have to turn them into something, or I need to get on the phone and sell a brake job or an alignment or something like that. So I'm a huge appointment guy, and it has to mean something to the customer. Mm-hmm. So like that visit that you had, the guy in front of you, maybe he didn't have an appointment and you did. He might have got out before you. That's a good way to tick off a customer really well. So that appointment has to mean something, because it's hard to kind of weigh all those. Let's say 7 customers pull up right before that appointment does. You better make sure that appointment either gets out in those first 2 or can tell what's happening or give them some extra service. So I buy lunch for customers all the time. If I walk through the waiting room and somebody's been sitting there for 3 hours and we're in the human business. You can tell when somebody's not happy. Yeah. And I always start, "Hey, I noticed you've been here for a long time. Can I run to McDonald's and get you a number 1? And 50% of them say, "Yeah." And I give my credit card to the shuttle driver and he runs down and grabs them a Big Mac or whatever they want. And man, you own that customer forever, because I've been doing that for years. I've probably had 10 surveys in the last 5 years that said the service manager even bought my lunch. And I never went back to check on it. I'd go back and tell the advisor, "Hey, take this Big Mac to him," because I want them to get the credit. And they better turn it into a good event.
Yeah, that's huge. That is like and it's just that one little thing. We don't know what it is, but it shows compassion and that you care and respect for their time. It's really powerful stuff. That stuff happens, but the stuff you're talking about and everybody listening to this, those are some really, really simple things. This is not rocket science. Okay. No. It's all about acknowledging, communicating, and treating the customers with respect and how you would like to be treated. I mean, it's kind of biblical if you think about it. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Yeah. That's where a lot of that stuff comes from. And I know I just try to get the advisors to be kind, whether they're at home or at work. Everybody that I know, including myself, probably all of you guys, are going through something. Either your dad's sick, finances, you just lost your job. I mean, all my employees have something going on. It seems like, and the customers. So imagine that customer's got all this going on. Maybe, and these are true stories, you know, lady's father died and she needed to get out of town the next day. She needed an oil change and a few other things. We couldn't let her go out of town with her tires like they were. So we used Sunbit. We got her some tires. It cost her, I think, $43, and she got out the door that day and was extremely happy. They just got so much to worry about. Let us worry about their car because they've got life to deal with.
This, I have been to Eddie in Service. I love, it just flows. Eddie in Service, but it really is a website, eddieinservice.com. That's what it really is. And I love the site. It's easy to navigate. There's some really important stuff on there. What is it that you're trying to do with this, Eddie?
I've been answering the phone, Eddie in Service, since that giraffe tie guy answered the phone a long, long time ago. So basically, and Eddie in Service is growing. It's still a baby. It's not even a year old yet. But basically, I want when a father or mother hands the keys over to that 16-year-old kid that's about to take off, I want them to say, here's the keys to your new car, and make sure you go to eddieinservice.com, and he's going to guide you through your career of taking care of your car. Maybe even get a job at the dealership. That's one thing I'm really trying to promote is that if you're a young kid and you don't know where to go or what to do, come see me. I know I'm so plugged in, especially in DFW. I just had an event with 20 service managers that showed up. So I can help get them a job. And all the service managers are constantly calling each other. Hey, I need this. I need a porter. I need an advisor. Do you know somebody? I mean, I get 2 or 3 of those phone calls a day. So if you go to eddieinservice.com and communicate with me, there's a place that you can go on there and send in a request, or you can go to Eddie at eddieinservice.com and send me an email. And I answer every single one of them.
But you're also on social media in addition to the website.
Yep.
Same type of stuff. It's YouTube and Facebook, etc. Is that just another extension, another way of reaching those people because that's where those people are at today?
It is. So if you go to my website, you can get on all those either, or you can go on to TikTok or wherever. So whenever I go to car events, there's a guy in a vest standing there guiding people in, and he sends the Lamborghinis and the McLarens this way. And then he sends the old guys like me. I have a 1980 Trans Am. He sends me and the El Caminos and the 57 Chevys over this way. There's 20,000 kids over on the Lamborghini side taking pictures with their phones of all these cars. And there's about 14 of them walking over on our side, you know. And I just think that young generation is missing out on what a carburetor is and how things used to be and the styling of the cars and things like that. So I kind of mix car enthusiasts with learning on how to take care of your car, the importance of tires, the importance of windshield wipers, insurance, extended warranties. It all is what this new generation needs to know how to take care of their cars because nobody else is really showing them. Even their mom and dads who are millennials, they really didn't get that car upbringing like we did too.
Yeah. Well, I darn sure did. I learned how to change my oil, and I think it's important because I got many girls and women in my family, and it was important for me. And some of them are a little reluctant on how to change a tire. I mean, just something simple like that. It means a lot. You know, it means yeah. It's just it's like a lost art or something like that these days.
It is, and I've got 3 daughters myself, so I totally understand. And there's a couple of things that I have, like at Forest Lane. Every customer that comes in, you don't even have to get an oil change. If you visit me, you get 150 days of nationwide roadside assistance, tire road hazard, wrecker service, key lockout, and gas refill if you run out of gas. And that's all free to the customer just for visiting me. And I want every one of my customers to have that because of the retention that it brings. So I can tell you my daughters have been using that program. So, and everywhere I go, I put it in place. And one of my daughters was stuck outside of her car on Christmas Eve. It was 12 degrees outside, the wind blowing, her keys are in the car. And she remembered that phone number that I told her about. She called it, they came, unlocked her car on Christmas Eve and got her back in the car. And I have hundreds of great stories that are like that.
Wow, that is great.
Do you think, like learning how to fix, change tires and change your oil is a dying skill that with the roadside assistance, we won't really need in the future. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, roadside assistance is the way that it's going, but there's going to be times when you need to do it yourself. So it can never hurt to learn that. And like with my three daughters, one of them lives in LA, and where she's at, it's almost impossible to get any kind of service, whether it's aftermarket service or a dealership. And of course, she still calls me. She's 31 years old, and she knows the business pretty good. I mean, she's heard me her whole life. So I think it's still really important for people to understand all that, and those videos that actually you guys supply for my website. That's what's really great about them. You can go on there and watch how the importance of an oil change. The videos that are on my website and the ones that are on my work website from your company. You could be a Gen Zer and go in there and watch 10 service videos and learn more about cars than you probably ever have. They're great. I watch them sometimes thinking I know everything, and I'll watch one of your coupons and go, oh, I didn't know that.
No,
So
it's
great
amazing.
technology.
Yeah. So every weekend I'm doing some project. Okay. And really over 80% of everybody today is looking at videos. Everybody wants videos. It's beyond me why there's not other people doing what we're doing. It's a shame, but that's good for us. But still, it's like, those are things that people just take for granted, that they know what a synthetic oil change is versus a conventional or semi-synthetic. I mean, they really don't have a clue. Or that hey, you can compete and or even sell tires less than the independents can out there.
Mhm.
But listen, it sounds so easy what you're saying and what you're doing. It's like music to my ears. But I'm in so many different clubhouse rooms and Zoom rooms throughout the week. And the stuff I hear it's the same. So let me give you an example. This is on the car sales side. In 1985, when I started selling cars, the average salesperson sold 10 cars, Eddie. In 1995, it was also 10 cars. In 2005, guess what? It's still the average person sells 10 cars. In 2024, the average person still sells 10 cars. That's insanity. Keep doing the same thing, expecting different results. We have all this wonderful technology. You have all this wonderful technology, but I hear the same stuff. They complaining about their team and this and this and that. And you've illustrated something really important today. I want everybody to get: the speed of the pack is set by the leader. Okay. Not the manager, the leader. And there's a difference between the two. You seem to really do a lot of pouring into your people. Why is it such rocket science that people are doing the same thing, expecting different results? And you say, I still think 95% of the dealers are still operating like that. They're not getting it. You are part of the 5% and probably even in the 1 percentile. What is going on, Eddie?
I say this you hear me talk about making your own luck all the time. And I tell service managers that call me, younger ones or even some that are older, and say, how do you do it? How are you doing this? And I always tell everybody, you're 2 or 3 vendors away from making an extra $30,000 to $100,000 a month. To me, it's really simple. I'd much rather somebody like you do all that hard work and let me be the one that's out there asking the customer if they want lunch and checking on their car, like I was saying. Yeah. So I'm like that manager at the grocery store that's putting the groceries in the bag and then going to the next place and just saying hi people, or that guy at a nice restaurant that comes out and say, was your meal okay today? To me, that's so fun and so easy. And I let guys like you do all the hard work and some of the other guys, but I love what I do. It's really easy. If you just be kind and try to look for the positive in every situation that comes in. And I try to get my advisor to do that too. The people that come in, they're let's say a lady has to drive her husband's monster truck in because he's having to work or whatever. He's having to drive her minivan in. Now he thinks he's not cool. It's just got a negative feeling while they're there. You got to turn it around and let them leave. Go, wow, that was a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I hear a lot of stuff about Gen Zs and all this kind of stuff. And yet I am blown away that when I walk into a Chick-fil-A, I am blown away with the communication and the smiling and welcome. And, I just, everything that there's, it's just like, it's contagious. Excitement, enthusiasm is contagious. And I still think that it's really all about the leader, because what I'm hearing you say and what I do know about you, you inspire people to keep moving. And it's like there's no coincidence, there's no chance, there's no luck. My acronym for luck is laboring under correct knowledge. If you want it, take responsibility for it and go after it. But there has to be something bigger than just money. Money is the byproduct of whatever it is that you're doing. And that's fine if you use it for a motivating factor. But if other people, and I'm hearing this over and over and over with things you're saying, if other people don't benefit along the way, it's going to become futile.
Well, years ago, I was in a meeting. There was a whole lot of managers in there, and they said, we all work our pay plan. After the meeting was over, I was thinking, I don't work my pay plan. I never have. I go in there, I try to get customer satisfaction out, real customer satisfaction.
Yeah.
Not the fake kind where you're buying Google reviews and all that. I want to know what my real CSI score is. Because if it's bad, that means that something's got to change or I got to pick something up. So the story about Chick-fil-A that you just said, for about 2 years, I would go in and try to hire a Chick-fil-A person, offering them $2,000 more a month than they were making. And never did I steal one, because they loved their organization. They loved their environment. I gave them my cards, call me if anything goes wrong, but nothing ever goes wrong. They're all are taught a vision. That's the first thing I try to do is teach that vision of where we're going. And winning is so much fun. And as long as you bring everybody with you while you're winning, you can't be stopped.
Yep. Now, if you're winning and other people benefit along the way, then you're truly winning. But if you're winning and you think you're winning at the expense of those around you, just for the sake of winning, that's not a good model. And it's one that's going to come back on you.
And it's about attitude too. I got one more story for you about just having a good attitude. I am blessed that I wake up every morning with a good attitude. But every once in a while, I'm talking once every 3 years, I'll wake up and I'm just pissed off. And I don't know why. And this happened to me about 4 years ago. And I woke up that morning, I was like, why am I in a bad mood? I took a shower, got out. Nope, still in a bad mood. Got dressed on the way to work, switching all the channels. Nothing satisfied me. Why am I so mad? You know what? I'm going to stop and get me a bagel. That'll make me feel better. Thought, I'm going to buy everybody bagels. That'll make everybody feel better. I've got to change my attitude. So I go in Einstein's. I'm standing in line. There's a lady in front of me. She turns around and looks at me, and I go, hey, how you doing? She just kind of ignored me and looked back. A guy came in behind me. I forced myself to smile and say, how are you doing? Got it to the line, greeted the girl that was taking my order by her name, fake smiling, faking it till you make it. Went over there, started to pay for the food. I paid for it. And then I stood out of line waiting for my order to be ready. And the manager came out from behind. And she said, do you have a business card? And I was like, yeah. I thought, how's she know I'm in the car business? What happened? Her car broke down? I'm going to get in trouble. She goes, when you walked in, I watched your attitude and you turned my customers around happy, my employees, you got their attitudes better. How do you do it? And I told her my story. I said, I woke up in a terrible mood this morning, but I knew attitude was a choice and I've changed my attitude. And she goes, you know what? I'm mysteriously drawing your name out of the hat to buy breakfast for everybody in your dealership. How many people do you have? And I was like, 75. She goes, do you have 45 minutes for me to get it ready? And I was like, sure. So I drove out of there with about $800 worth of free food because I chose that morning to have a good attitude. And I got all my employees together, set it up on a table to tell them what happened that morning. And one of them said they thought I was going to try to sell them some timeshare, but I didn't. It was all about that attitude.
It is attitude of gratitude. Even if you wake up and on the wrong side, it's so easy. Well, I don't have anything to be grateful for. Yeah, it's really easy to start saying out loud what you're truly. I mean, you got 2 ears, 2 eyes. You got both legs, both arms. I mean, you can start there. One of the things I do, because I'm very goal driven, is I have to see myself constantly achieving something. Because I believe I like you. I don't have a lot of education. And that used to bother me. And I would compare myself to people with degrees and stuff like that. And I would listen to them. Well, I don't listen to them anymore. As a matter of fact, I probably make more than most of them,
I do too. Yeah.
But it was all about successful people doing daily what average people do occasionally. So I identified what I wanted, but I'm very goal driven. And I think it needs to go from vapor to paper. You certainly need to write those down and crystallize them. And I've done a lot of things over the years, but this is your time. But one of the first things I do in the morning, after the prayer and a gratitude, is I make the bed. Just that one thing I accomplished starts my day that I accomplished something already. Very, very rare. I can't say absolute, emphatically, 100% of the time, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. No, that's not true. But it is 5 days a week. I kind of let it go on Saturday and Sunday because I get up too late. Not really. But anyway, those things really make a difference. I believe whatever you want, if you adopt some of the stuff that Eddie's talking about today, whatever it is, personally, professionally, whatever, you notice there's a resonating theme through everything that he's talking about for all of you out there listening, that he pours back into his people, and he's grateful, and he believes in something greater than himself. That's a great foundation to start, I believe.
Yeah, positivity is where it's at. I never really knew the word manifestation or anything like that, and you can use it however you want, but I think the universe gives you whatever you put into it. So if you put in Whataburgers every day in your stomach and bad drinks and don't ever work out, then you're going to get a fat, lethargic feeling and body. But if you put in the right food and you exercise a little bit and you just take care of things, it's going to give you back a long, healthy life. And it's the same with everything, the way the universe works. If you take care of your car, it's going to last you 200,000 or 300,000 miles and be worth more than if you didn't. But if you don't do your oil change and don't rotate your tires and all that kind of stuff, it's going to run bad and you're going to think it's the car's fault when really it's your fault. And it's the same way with your department. You've got to have a positive attitude. I have never in my entire career yelled at one single employee or family member for that matter of fact. It's just positivity makes all your surroundings and makes the universe give you good things.
I agree. It's kind of biblical there too. You kind of reap what you sow. You put it out there, that's what you get back.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to change it, then change it. But certainly quit blaming other people, places, and things, because those are excuses. It all starts and ends with me and staying in my lane and running my own race. And it sounds like is there anything you do to maintain that? Maybe the people you associate with, things you read, listen to, etc. I mean, it just, how do you protect this and this?
You talk about social media, which wasn't really around when I was growing up, but I think social media has a dark side and a great side. So I do have Christian and positivity things on my phone, whether it's TikTok or YouTube. YouTube's really good for it because once you start watching all the positive YouTube things where all the motivational speakers, it just feeds you more and more and more. So like I went on a 2-mile walk run this morning and there's a big hill that I got to go up and I know I need some motivation. So I'll plug that thing in and turn it up. And there's a guy telling me, don't stop, keep going. And those kind of things just keep me going. And the positivity feeds you positivity back. Customers write me letters and every day I wake up, I've got 1,000 people in my phone. Hopefully you've gotten one from me, but I just spin it up like a slot machine wherever it stops, send a positive message, whether it's a meme or hey, I hope you have a great day. Those simple things, you wouldn't believe the people that'll have called me and said, man, I hadn't heard from you in 2 years. I woke up this morning. I've been sick for 3 weeks and I got that and it made my day. If you can stay positive all day, even when you get home, when I was a young man, I would come home and I walk through the door and I've been smiling all day and answering phones and talking to people. But as soon as I walk in, the smile would go off my face and my kid would be wanting a hug. I said, give me 5 minutes. And my wife's wanting to ask me a question. Just give me 10 minutes. I thought, I am taking care of 100 people a day, giving them all this smile and all these good vibes. And I come home and I tell my family to back off. So about 15 years ago, I said, I'm never going to do that again. And now when I come home, I kick that door open and I'm like, hey, how's it? They hate it. It drives them crazy. I'm in their face.
I'm home.
How was your day? How was your day? They're like, I'll tell you in a minute. So my kids and my wife will tell you every day I come home, they know they're going to get a spew of positivity. And it's not real all the time. It's been a hard day working 12 hours. You come home, but they deserve at least what you've been giving all those employees and customers all day, or if not better. So
yeah, they do. It's
worked for me for a long time.
I was guilty of the same. It's you learn over time what it makes. It takes a lot less to smile than it does to frown. It really does. man. No, and you know what? I'm going to back up. I think you tried to take me around the block on something. No, I don't get those text messages. So you don't have me on your chain. You better
I
put
do.
me on your chain. But
You
I
must be
think I
doing so
sent you.
good.
But I sent you a couple. I think
You do. You have. You have.
I do
Especially
the
after
same
last
thing.
week when I messed up our podcast.
No, no. Listen,
You were so kind and nice, both of you, and I appreciate it.
and no problem. This is look. Life happens while you're busy making other plans. It just does.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why get upset and frustrated over it? And I know, we all do that, but and even myself, sometimes I catch myself because I'm real ADHD type A. And I like to think I'm still in control, and I'm really not. And I know it, but I am control how I act and react to those situations. So Eddie, in service, something comes up and you can't join us on the podcast. What am I going to do? Shoot you the finger and say, you missed, pal. You're over. It's done. Are you kidding? But people do that. People do that.
Yeah. You sent me 2 or 3 text messages after that telling me, don't worry about it. It's okay. I felt terrible. So I'm technologically not good at that kind of stuff. I can't even say it. So much less use it. So you were very gracious and I appreciate it.
Oh.
I feel like I haven't really talked about Eddie in service, but I want to let everybody know that it's always clean. You'll never see a video with a bikini girl or a curse word or any of that stuff. All my stuff is positive so that your 15, 16, 17-year-old kid can take it and have it in case they can't get a hold of a parent or they can't whatever. They can go on there. What do I do? And there's more and more videos that's coming out. So I hope, like I say, it's still a baby, so it can barely crawl. So I think in 2 or 3 years, there'll be so many go-to videos that people go on to right now. And it's connected to YouTube also. Google and YouTube are owned they're the same company. Sure. And I think by 2027, they say YouTube is going to be the #1 outlet for everything, movies, news, media, you name it. So by then I'll have a big dictionary of things you can go on Google. Where's my dipstick? Oh, this one doesn't have one, or the transmission stick doesn't have one. What kind of tires should I buy? So since I'm into tires right now and I got the #1 tire guy in America that works for me, I'm about to start a series of tires on the brands and things like that. So if you want to know what a Continental tire coverage looks like, you can go on to my YouTube or my eddyandservice.com and look up a tire and see if it's good for your vehicle.
Well, I think it's really important. You mentioned EVs, okay? Tires are the next oil changes for EVs. So those 8,000-pound batteries. But yeah, I mean, your attitude about that is just what everybody's attitude should be for a while. Now things are starting to change, but it's not like we're not going to be 100% EV. It probably will never happen. But it's here. It's here. It's not going away. But it's still, it's just transportation, right? I wouldn't even be opposed to one if it made a muscle or muscular type of noise, but and I know that's coming too with the new Challenger or Charger or something like that. There's an EV coming. It's got all kinds of, you can make different. Anyway, I don't know what
it's
it is.
The new Banshee, and you can choose what kind of noise it makes out of there. It's even got one that sounds like a loud tiger roaring. So get whatever you want. Yeah.
So, where do you think service is going to be in the next 5 or 10 years?
Like you just said, I think you can see all the manufacturers right now backing down on electric cars. I just read an NADA thing that said that electric cars are only worth 50% of what they were brand new. And I heard a guy saying he was at the auction the other day, and there's electric cars going through with 3,000 miles on them, and they're half price. So, if you want to get an electric car, I did a story previously, go get a used one that's already had all the profit taken out of it to see if you really like it. The reason so many of those electric cars, I think, have low miles on them that are going through the auction is I think people get them home and figure out it's a lot harder to plug in than what they thought. I mean, if you live in an apartment, you're pretty much not going to have a charger. So, and there's thousands, tens of thousands of people that live in those apartments. So there's customers that can't have an electric car just right there. So I'm like you, though. I think they're really neat. They're really cool. Hybrid is definitely the way I think that we're going to end up going, which is great for me because now I've got an electric motor and a gasoline motor to work on in the same car. So
what a great
I think even if we invent electric cars tomorrow, somebody's going to have to work on them. And that's why I say service departments, becoming an advisor or becoming a technician is definitely the way to go. And technicians, they're becoming the new doctors. So It's definitely a great business to get into.
They're working with computers.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, that ought to entice people. Charity, what do we have here?
Well, how about one more question, maybe one or two before we wrap up here. If you had a magic wand, what would you change about the automotive industry?
Probably a lot, and that is that a lot of probably GMs and owners aren't going to understand this, but I hate the way that the last day of the month, it's do or die. You could be fired tomorrow, or you could be a hero. It's just whatever. So that last day of the month is extremely important, but I think a lot of service managers don't make their own luck. We try to close 2 or 3 times a month. We act like the 7th is the last day, and the 21st is the last day, and then the last month is the real last day. So I think a lot of mistakes are made. I think sometimes money's lost because you're closing something before it shouldn't be closed. So that's one thing that I would change. And I think that there's a lot of dealerships that do it the right way, and there's a lot that do it the wrong way. And the wrong way ones, making it bad for the ones that are really trying to make it good for their customers. I know there's some dealerships out there that could care less what your name is, what your family drives. They just want to see you this one time, and they don't care if they see you again. And if we could get rid of those and start treating them really well so that all the business would be good no matter where you went. I think that would be my magic wand change if I had it.
I love it.
Well, are there any questions that we didn't ask you that you wish we did?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I just want people to visit eddieandservice.com or Eddie and Service YouTube and follow me. If you have any comments or questions on there, on the website, send them to me. I'll answer any of them. I helped a customer at another dealership. This was about 3 months ago. They said they didn't know what to do. They found me on LinkedIn. They found eddieandservice.com. They went on there, said, my car's at this dealership. We don't know what to do. I actually knew the service manager at that dealership. I called him. He still wouldn't get done what they needed it to, so they wanted to tow it somewhere else. They towed it to another dealership. I updated the customer every other day. I knew the advisor there. He didn't update them as well as I did. They finally got their vehicle out. It took about a month to get through this ordeal.
Oh my God.
Once it was over, she sent a huge email to me saying how grateful she was that I wasn't even in the picture. I wasn't at either dealership, and that it was so nice of me to take time out, help guide them through that, and that I'd updated them more than the 2 dealerships that they were at. And that's what I want to do in the future is help people get through that process and get them to the right dealership.
Wow. And that is what Eddie in Service is all about. This is a wrap up. This is another extremely successful WTF, and that's what the FixedOPS to all of you. But stick around for just a minute, Eddie. But listen, all of you out there, when this is released, there's so many small tidbits that, or watch the whole thing or do both, but like them, love them, make comments, share them with other people and stuff. Go visit the website, Eddie in Service. I'm not like, I've been there many, many times. You'll see what he's talking about, because how he is offline is just how you heard him online here today. That is Eddie. He's a real guy. And I encourage you to get a hold of it and watch as much as you can. Charity and Patrick, thank you so much. And all of you out there, thank you for following and endorsing us and liking us. And we appreciate and love all of you. Thank you very much for coming on today, Eddie.
Yeah, thank you, Eddie.
Thank you, Charity. Yeah. Thank you, Russell. It meant the world to me. I had a blast. I'm not as nervous now as I was when it started. So thank you for bearing with me.
No, thank you. It was great. Your passion. And this is, I wish you were in some of the rooms that I'm in, because people, like yesterday, somebody made some comment. I was, Michael Barrett is a good friend of mine, and you may not know him, but he's a phenomenal service guy. Triple Crown winner 3 years in a row, #1 Nissan store in the country for fixed operations. Now he's doing his own consulting, but we were on, and people think, they said, well, Russell, talk about service. I'm not really a service guy. I know enough to be dangerous. You know, I'm like all those other, I'm the general manager that grew up on the variable side. Okay. That's where I cut my teeth. I don't know enough just to be deadly, but I want to share this one thing I learned from somebody like you many years ago when I was running a store. a heat case came in, and I don't even remember if it was I think it was the service manager. It could have been just one of the advisors. But I always talk to the technician and advisors. Those are just things that I did, and I encourage all the salespeople to do the same thing. This lady came in. She was a heat case, and I mean, she was steaming, and I watched it all happen. Okay, she came up to him. He just stood there, and she just started unloading on him. Okay, just unloading on him. He was calm, and there was eye contact, and what seemed like for 10 or 15 minutes was really only about 45 seconds. But she was barreling on. He was acknowledging her by shaking, not to respond, just acknowledging that I'm hearing you, and the eye contact, etc. Then she decided to take a breath after about 45 seconds. And he said, "I apologize. Will you forgive me?" And that's it. He was quiet. She automatically shut down, and she was apologetic, had nothing to do with him. And she was so sorry for acting that way. I mean, just those 6 words, really powerful words. Anyway, I got goosebumps just thinking about it. But I learned that from somebody like you in service. Eddie, in service.
That sounded exactly like I tell them all the time. That customer, let them get it all out, and they'll take a deep breath. And I always say, "Will you do me a favor?" And they go, "Yeah." And I say, "Will you not be upset with me until I tell you that I can't help you?" And they always go, "Yeah." I say, "Okay, let's go figure it out together." And now we're friends, and we're moving through it. And it's just, they just want to talk. They want to be heard.
It's really that simple. If you don't let them get it out, and you're not listening, and they know you're not listening, you're waiting to respond. They want you to, because that just gives them more ammunition, right? I'm upset. I want you. Let's get after it. Anyway, my migraine is starting to go away. I hope y'all couldn't tell too much, but it was just,
Not at all.
anyway. Love you, Eddie. Thank you so much for all that you do for this industry, and look forward to the future and some of the things that we're going to be doing together. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love you too. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet.